Chapter 161, Ghost Leopard's Breakthrough, Returning to Heaven, Du City. The sun was sinking when Lin Yu and Qian Renxue sat together in the crook of a giant tree on the edge of the Stardow Great Forest. The tree rose dozens of meters into the air. Lying curled beside them was Ghost Leopard, who had been stalled at the bottleneck to rank 96 for many years. Tang Hao's recent battle had left a deep impression on Ghost Leopard. Though he hadn't exchanged many blows with Tang Hao, the pressure of that fight had awakened something in him and given him a chance to break through. He told Lin Yu just as they were about to leave the forest. Lin Yu urged him to seize the opportunity. Ghost Leopard was a member of the Hall of Worship and a retainer of the Angel clan. The stronger he grew, the better it would be for Lin Yu and Qian Renxue. The meditation and breakthrough attempt consumed the entire day. Qian Renxue, curled in Lin Yu's arms, nearly fell asleep when Serpent Dragon and Si Shui returned from their engagement with the Titan giant ape. "Greetings, young lord, young master," they called, a touch embarrassed. Both were seasoned among the titled Douluo, but facing a 100,000-year rank super spirit beast like the Titan giant ape was a different matter. They'd only managed to keep it occupied by exploiting their mobility. In a straight fight, they would not have lasted long. Lin Yu asked about the beast's movements, and their answer surprised him. The Titan giant ape had pursued them fiercely, but abruptly ceased when it heard a bull's roar, a roar that made Lin Yu and Qian Renxue think of one name at once, the Sky Azure Bull Python. Mysterious to most in the Spirit Master world, the Sky Azure Bull Python was nothing to Spirit Hall. Its appearance had indirectly allowed Tang Chen to escape this time. Ming, who had only just returned to the Lake of Life and was receiving the Sky Azure Bull Python's rebuke, had drawn Lin Yu's attention as well. Before Lin Yu could dwell, an immense surge of spirit power erupted from Ghost Leopard. Serpent Dragon and Si Shui glanced at it with envy. Ghost Leopard was truly on the verge of breaking through to rank 96. Breakthroughs for titled Douluo become harder with every rank. Beyond 95, the spirit power required for each next rank is far greater. In this process, a titled Douluo absorbs the free spirit power of heaven and earth to condense within himself. As Ghost Leopard drew in that ambient power, the world around him seemed to funnel toward his body. The breakthrough took 2 hours. Only after night had fully fallen did Ghost Leopard finally stabilize the new heightened spirit power within him. "Thank you, young master," he said, sincere. "Without the rare treasures you provided over the years, I would never have been able to break this barrier." Lin Yu understood exactly what he meant. The jump from rank 95 to rank 96 involved the condensation of a soul core, something almost impossible without constant access to precious items. The rare treasures from Lin Yu's Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well had made this possible. Ghost Leopard's gratitude was genuine. Lin Yu was pleased, but not overly concerned. He went on roasting a soft bones rabbit and teasing Qian Renxue. The night passed uneventfully. At dawn, after a simple meal, Lin Yu and Qian Renxue decided they had finished what they came to do. Rather than head to the Balak Kingdom, they flew straight toward Heaven Do City. A few days later, they arrived home. On the first night back, Qian Renxue kept Lin Yu in the secret chamber. Having only recently consummated their relationship, the two were unable to resist one another, and passion consumed them. Afterwards, Lin Yu held Qian Renxue's sleeping form in his arms and let his thoughts wander. "I didn't notice before, but it truly is golden. Could it be?" he murmured, trailing off. He looked down at her serene face, the elegant nose bridge, phoenix-like eyes half closed, crimson lips. Gently, he kissed her smooth forehead. "Whoever you truly are, you're my sister Shuer." He held her tightly and finally drifted to sleep. Late morning, Qian Renxue emerged in Shui Qing's clothes and shot him an annoyed glare. "You bad man, you caused this mess. Now I have to deal with it. How annoying. I'm leaving." Lin Yu raised an eyebrow. She had been begging for mercy the night before. How quickly she'd forgotten. After she left, he changed and set out for the Heaven Do Royal Academy to deal with matters that required his attention. While Lin Yu headed toward the academy, the trouble Qian Reng blamed him for was being aired in the imperial court of the Heaven Do Empire. Before Lin Yu and Qian Renxue had retired to the secret chamber, urgent news had arrived from the Balak Kingdom. the Star Luo Empire had launched an invasion. Armored iron cavalry and heavy infantry, screened by light cavalry, charged into Balak territory like wolves among sheep. Though both sides fielded about 500,000 troops, their quality and equipment differed greatly. The Balak army was competent but no match for the elite forces of the Star Luo Empire. In just a few days, half the Balak kingdom's territory had been breached, and even its capital, Barak City, faced immediate peril. King Kundela of the Balak kingdom had formally requested aid from the Heaven Do Empire. He even threatened that if Heaven Do refused, he would lead his people to defect to Spirit Hall, a blatant provocation. In the past, Heaven Do might have swallowed its pride and endured humiliation. Not this time. Under the restored governance of Crown Prince Sui Qinghe, Imperial Marshal Ji Long was leading 500,000 elite Heaven Do troops to the Balak kingdom, determined to repel the Star Luo invasion. Chapter 162, Heaven Do Goes to War, Yu Xiaogang's Solemn Vows. Half a month passed in a flash. Under the command of Crown Prince Sui Qinghe of the Heaven Do Empire, Grand Marshal Ji Long hastily assembled an army of 500,000. He brought along spirit masters assigned to the military. With officials, nobles, and commoners bidding them farewell, the army set out that day for the Balak kingdom to oppose the Star Luo Empire's invasion. It was worth noting that Ji Long's grandson, Ge Xiang, a young man who idolized his grandfather and longed for battle, had secretly joined the army, persuaded by an unscrupulous captain of the royal fighting team. As the endless procession of Heaven Do's finest left for the Balak battlefield, Sui Qinghe frowned and let out a soft sigh. Others might not have understood, but she did. Of the 500,000 men marching to resist the Star Luo Empire, it would be a good outcome if even half came back alive. That was not what she wanted, but sometimes, for the greater good, a few had to be sacrificed. Sacrificing the few for the many, that was the bitter calculus of any era, any nation, any world. With Ge Long gone, faces at the imperial court changed. A new set of officials took office, most of them quietly placed there by the hall of worship, with only a handful of nobles used as a smokescreen. Their arrival meant Qian Renxue, with the hall's support, had completed her deception. She had won her bet with that woman, if only half a victory, for with the hall of worship's elders involved, almost nothing on the Douluo Continent was impossible. The upper echelons of the Heaven Do Empire were now rearranged. As for the common people, they were of little concern. They had simple needs. So long as their peaceful lives weren't disturbed, who sat on the throne mattered little. While political winds shifted in the capital, the Blue Tyrant Academy, which occupied a third of the old Heaven Do Royal Academy grounds, lay unusually quiet. Aside from a few watchful gatekeepers, no one came or went. In a small, secluded house behind the academy's hills, Liu Erlong, a striking woman in red, shouted angrily, "What? How dare they? Flender, you and Xiaogang can rest here with us. Even if the old sect is dissolved, with me and Xiaoqiang around, no one will dare to bother you." She sat down beside Yu Xiaogang, who had fled here with Flender. His usually stern face grew even more rigid at her presence. "Thank you," Flender said hoarsely. He was gaunt after losing 4 old friends and a beloved student, but his gratitude was sincere. If not for Liu Erlong, he would truly have nowhere left to go. "Old brother Flender, what are you talking about?" came a warm, hearty voice. "Since you're Xiaogang and Erlong's elder brother, you're my elder brother too. We're delighted you're with us." The speaker had a bold, convivial tone. Yu Xiaoqiang, the former young sect master of the fallen Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. After the sect split, the direct descendants had been too weak to contend with the branch elders. Yu Xiaoqiang had been forced to take whatever scraps he could and follow Liu Erlong to the Blue Tyrant Academy. Unlike the others who clung to their old pride and either secluded themselves or drowned in drink, Yu Xiaoqiang humbled himself. Liu Erlong had appointed him vice dean, and he often showed up in the classrooms to teach. His attitude toward Flender, once indifferent, was now warm, though not effusively joyful. He knew he was in a position of dependence. One displeased word from Liu Erlong could send them packing. He also knew Flender's strength surpassed his own. If aligning with Flender meant a chance to one day reclaim what the branch families had taken and rebuild the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, he would do it. Flender and Yu Xiaoqiang chatted, albeit with a cautious edge, until Yu Xiaogang, who normally wore a stern expression as if the world owed him money, suddenly said, "Old brother Flender, don't get too comfortable." Rongrong said Lin Yu, Marquise Chengyang's son, might still be looking for us here in the Heaven Do Empire. The remark was a bucket of cold water. Flender, who had just let his guard down, stiffened. During his time in Heaven Do City, he had heard rumors about Lin Yu, a spirit king under 20, the Heaven Do Empire's top prodigy. Stories like that were running through the city like wildfire. So what do we do? Hide here forever? Flender managed with a bitter smile, worry creasing his long face. Yu Xiaogang's voice dropped low. We don't need to panic. Remember the girl with the seraphim spirit who was always beside him? At once, Yu Xiaoqiang's eyes flashed. You mean Lin Yu is connected to the spirit hall, and his position is high? The upper three sects and the spirit hall had long been at odds. Everyone knew the Qian family controlled the angel spirit on the Douluo Continent. The seraphim, the angel spirit, was exclusive to the Supreme Pontiff's direct line. If Lin Yu was accompanied by such a spirit, his status would be self-evident. Yu Xiaogang glanced coolly at his elder brother, then spoke with blunt confidence. Vice Dean Yu is right. If Lin Yu appears here, the spirit hall must have a reason. We have something they don't know about. If he dares to act against us, that secret is enough to make him hesitate before finishing whatever mission he's on. It's dangerous, but it could buy us the crucial time we need. The three men fell silent, each weighing the risk. Outside, beyond the academy walls, the world was moving toward war. Inside the quiet house, choices were being made that might stir the spirit hall's wrath or give them a sliver of hope. Chapter 163, the royal fighting team lying flat, desiring Yu Xiaogang again. Heaven Do Royal Academy, royal fighting team. Apart from Ji Xiang, whom Lin Yu had deliberately sent away to avoid any unexpected trouble, everyone else was training hard for the All-Continent Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament, less than 2 years away. Most of them hadn't noticed Lin Yu's return, but Dugu Yan, already a rank 58 Spirit King, spotted him and teased, Well, I knew something felt different today. Turns out our busy man is back." Inside the royal fighting team, Dugu Yan was the only one who dared to needle Lin Yu like that. The rest treated him with respect. Even Oscar, whose family had old ties with Lin Yu's, kept his distance. Dugu Yan, however, was different. Not only was her strength far beyond most students, but the rapport between her and Lin Yu was more like that of an older sister and a younger brother. Slow-witted Dugu Bo had long since given up any fanciful hopes. Lin Yu felt awkward under Dugu Yan's teasing. "Sister Yanzi, don't make it sound like that. I really do have a lot on my plate." A mischievous glint flashed in Dugu Yan's eyes. "Oh, really? I seem to remember that 2 years ago, you were so furious over a beauty that you beat up the young lord of the Strength Clan who was acting like a jerk. That blonde girl was pretty enough. Little brother of mine has good taste." Lin Yu could only laugh sheepishly. He hadn't expected Dugu Yan to know or remember that incident for almost 2 years. It felt like getting caught slacking off by someone you couldn't mess with. Their banter drew the attention of the others. Even the honest, simple Shimo and his brothers chuckled. Fortunately, Dugu Yan's teasing ended there. A pair of fair, delicate hands patted Lin Yu's shoulder, and she said calmly, "If you like her, bring her here so your sister can meet her sister-in-law. Don't be so secretive, okay?" Lin Yu hesitated briefly, then nodded. He couldn't tell Dugu Yan right now that Qian Renxue was actually 3 years older than she was. When the playful exchange ended, Shimo and his brothers, Shui Qingliu and Oscar, gathered around. Under Dugu Yan's supervision, nominally vice captain but effectively the team captain, they had trained diligently the past few years. With the rare cultivation aids Lin Yu occasionally sent them, their progress had been impressive. The hardest workers were Shimo and his brothers. Although their talents were only slightly above average, both had reached rank 42 Spirit Ancestor. Oscar needed no introduction. His talent was among the best on the team after Lin Yu and Dugu Yan, and he had reached rank 44. Ji Xiang, who had been sent to the front lines, was on par with Oscar in cultivation, but was a year younger. It was a pity he was Ji Long's grandson. Lin Yu hadn't anticipated how much the Hall of Worship's interference would complicate things. Lin Yu was satisfied with how those three had advanced, considering their talents. But Shui Qingliu, Shui Xing's adopted son, lagged behind. At rank 38 Spirit Elder, he wasn't just slightly behind, he was a major realm lower. Lin Yu had considered that Shui Qingliu, given his talent, could reach Spirit Ancestor with steady cultivation, so he hadn't expected this gap. The reasons were obvious. An opaque pressure seemed to weigh on Shui Qingliu. His expression shifted. He laughed awkwardly. Lin, Captain, I can explain. Listen, You usually enjoy a comfortable life with your adoptive father, Prince Shui Xing. Lin Yu cut in. Didn't I hear a few days ago that Prince Shui Xing paid top price at the Heaven Dew auction house for a gorgeous beast-eared maid? Shui Qingliu's face drained of color. Pointing angrily at Lin Yu, he blurted, You actually investigated us? How dare you? The arrogance of a royal descendant made Shui Qingliu lose sight of the situation for a moment, and he began to confront Lin Yu. He hadn't realized how big the cultivation gap was. With a single blow, Lin Yu's punch sent Shui Qingliu flying more than 10 meters as if he were a rag doll. He had no time to brace himself. Qi and blood surged violently through him, and he collapsed, fainting. Get out. The royal fighting team doesn't need you anymore. If you're not convinced, file a complaint, if you can win, Lin Yu said softly. The others exchanged looks. Oscar murmured, Captain, if we kick him out, it'll be hard to find a replacement quickly. Dugu sneered. He's far lower in realm than us. Do we really need him? Dugu certainty bolstered Lin Yu's position. Oscar could only nod in agreement, increasingly convinced that besides Dugu, the rest of the team might just be filling numbers. If Dugu knew, she would be annoyed. Did he really mean they were only making up the numbers? Wasn't she doing the same? Sometimes being too strong wasn't an unalloyed advantage. Each member still trained hard, but many had mentally given up trying to catch up. With Lin Yu, a captain of unfathomable depth, leading them, victory seemed almost guaranteed. But as the saying goes, outsiders see more clearly than those involved. Lin Yu didn't know what the others were thinking and moved on to practical matters. In previous years, he'd ordered them to focus on refining spiritual ranks. Now that their ranks had risen, they needed combat experience. To avoid crushing anyone's morale, Lin Yu first took them to the Heaven Do Great Spirit Arena to spar against spirit masters of the same rank. Coincidentally, as Lin Yu led the 4 remaining team members to the arena, Liu Erlong arrived as well, arm in arm with Yu Xiaogang and accompanied by others. The instant the two groups met, Liu Erlong's fiery temper threatened to flare, but Yu Xiaogang, who held her arm, managed to rein her in. Chapter 164. Yu Xiaogang's Threat. Black Tortoise Replacement. Erlong, wait a moment. Although Liu Erlong had a hot temper, she was fiercely loyal to Yu Xiaogang, this self-righteous fellow. Bibi Dong was the same. For some reason, she, too, had fallen for him. He was hardly handsome, much less so than his brother Yu Xiaoqiang, which Lin Yu found puzzling. Watching Yu Xiaogang approach with that perpetually displeased, as if someone owed him money look, Lin Yu's lips twitched into a small smile as he tried to guess what the man intended. What came next surprised even Lin Yu. Your name is Lin Yu, right? I don't know what your connection is with that woman, but listen, if you dare to harm my student again, I won't let you off. Hearing that woman from Yu Xiaogang's mouth, Lin Yu immediately understood who he meant. He didn't have much to do with that woman. If anything, she was his mother-in-law, but Yu Xiaogang clearly lumped him in under her authority. A plan formed in Lin Yu's head, used their posturing against them. Heh, I don't know what you're talking about, he said. But for a mere spirit grandmaster like you to act so arrogantly in front of me, you're courting death. With that, Lin Yu put some force into his hand and shoved Yu Xiaogang aside. He moved fast enough that even Liu Erlong, a realm above him, couldn't react in time. In her panic, she helped Yu Xiaogang back to his feet and went to confront Lin Yu, but Yu Xiaogang stopped her. Decisive and ruthless in action, truly one of hers, he said coldly, already steadying himself. Supported by Liu Erlong, he fixed Lin Yu with a hard stare. You have remarkable innate talent. I'm not your match. I know there are other experts with you, but don't forget, this is the Heaven Do Empire, not Spirit City. If you dare harm my student again, Don't blame me for reporting you to the Empire. When that happens, every plan you have will be ruined. Lin Yu had expected a trump card, not a threat to file a report. It annoyed him, but it also sparked amusement. He decided to play along and erect a theatrical scene. Who would be bold enough to accuse an official? He changed his expression instantly, adopting a menacing tone. Fine, if you've got the guts, go right ahead and report me. Knowing when to stop, Lin Yu didn't escalate further. He led the royal fighting team into the Great Spirit Arena. Tang Chen, a dutiful disciple, hurried to Yu Xiaogang's side as soon as Lin Yu and the others retreated. Teacher, are you all right? That person just now. In the Stardow Great Forest, Tang Chen had watched Lin Yu, Qian Renxue, and Ghost Leopard cooperate to kill his father. A father's murder is an unending grievance. Tang San's thinking was rigidly filial. He held tightly to the old dichotomy of ruler and subject, father and son from his previous life. Although Tang Hao had largely neglected him growing up, Tang San's feelings were sincere. Little San, I know you want revenge, Yu Xiaogang said gently, but your most important task right now is to endure and cultivate diligently. Only then can you avenge His Excellency Hao Tian. Do you understand? Tang San's eyes were red and swollen, but he nodded firmly. Teacher, I understand. The display of mentor and dutiful disciple moved Liu Erlong deeply. Juju King, who had grown up as a lone fighter, watched as well and felt a pang of envy. Juju King had no one to rely on. Her parents wanted to marry her off to the Dai family. Although Dai Mubai was dead, her fate was not free. Either she would be buried with Dai Mubai in the struggle, or she would be forced to marry Dai Weishi, who was nearly 10 years her senior, along with her sister, Juju Yun. Envy aside, she still had to face reality. Juju Qing's resolve never wavered. She refused to bow to the Dai family or the Starluo imperial family. As a member of Shrek, she had always been independent, but under the guidance of Yu Xiaogang and Liu Erlong, she prepared to fight for her own destiny. When the Shrek members entered the Great Spirit Arena, the Shimo brothers, Shimo and his second brother, had just finished their first match under Lin Yu's guidance, and it was eye-catching. Their third spirit ability, developed following Lin Yu's suggestion and with help from their family elders, was modeled on the Black Tortoise spirit from 10,000 years later. They called it Black Tortoise Replacement. When it manifested, it bewildered their opponents. Even Lin Yu hadn't expected these thick-browed, big-eyed brothers to replicate Shu Sanqi's move from millennia in advance. Their confused opponents were dispatched from the stage cleanly. After the performance, the brothers approached Lin Yu with an apologetic grin. Boss, isn't this spirit ability effective? Lin Yu, casually filing his nails, didn't look up. It's good. Later you two can spar with me and I'll test how tough those shells really are. Dugu Yan, standing beside Lin Yu, laughed aloud. She hadn't expected the usually honest brothers to try to show off, and she certainly hadn't expected them to be stumped by Lin Yu. A spar would only leave them battered. It wasn't that Lin Yu wouldn't let them fight back, but if they did, his hands would get heavy. How Shimo and his brother knew that was another story, one best left unsaid. Compared with the Shimo brothers' dazzling new ability, Oscar's style was conventional, an agile, attacking spirit master like his father. After the 3 matches finished, Lin Yu remained in the soul dueling arena. He had no ulterior motive. He simply wanted to see how blue-silver grass performed. Among plant spirit masters, a blue-silver grass user stood out, especially with the infallible blue-silver binding. He still couldn't understand why that woman had remained indifferent, even though Su Yuntao had clearly reported Tang San's situation. Tang San possessed innate full spirit power, and his blue-silver grass spirit was extraordinarily conspicuous. Had she already formed an opinion on him years ago? Great Spirit Arena Branch. Spirit Elder Competition. When Tang San's opponent saw that his spirit was blue-silver grass, he almost laughed aloud. I never expected my luck to hold out this long and let me run into a trash spirit. It's a miracle a trash spirit could even become a spirit elder. The insult struck a nerve. Tang San knew he had twin spirits and a powerful other spirit, the Clear Sky Hammer, far beyond ordinary people, but combined with blue-silver grass, it was undeniably of low quality. If he hadn't risked his life for the Tang sect in his previous life and secretly learned the mysterious heaven treasure record to cultivate, Relying on spirit power alone, he would have a hard time against a spirit grandmaster. The taunt landed painful and true. Tang San snorted, struck an easy pose, and muttered something deliberately ridiculous. There are no useless spirits, only useless spirit masters. The duel began. Maybe because the opponent had hit that sore spot, Tang San's opening moves were unusually ruthless. He was, after all, an assassin by trade in his former life. His specialty was never direct force but ambush, striking from the shadows. The spirit elder who had mocked Tang San's spirit was caught flat-footed by an attack that used the blue-silver grass in a supporting role, while Tang Sect techniques did the real work. Tang San applied his second spirit ability, Parasite, and the elder's attention was seized. For a heartbeat, a purple glint flashed in Tang San's eyes. Beneath it lay cold, killing intent no one else could see. To mock his spirit and openly humiliate him had become a path to death. Under controlling Crane catching Dragon, Tang San's hand, like white jade, tapped lightly, and a hidden surge of spirit power slipped into the elder's body. Before long, that buried force would strike, and the spirit elder, wherever he had trained, would simply die on the spot. The natives of the Douluo Continent could not detect such secret arts. This was a Tang Sect technique, not something the locals could decipher. Compared with Lin Yu's view that outsider stones could polish his own jade, Tang San felt an invisible superiority over the continent's natives. That superiority didn't come from his twin spirits but from his memories. In his past life, the Tang Sect might have been a local power tucked away with only a respectable legacy, but for the Douluo Continent, that legacy was something to be proud of, and his mysterious heaven skill was unique. Having set that hidden kill in motion, Tang San was about to leave when a mysterious letter interrupted him. No one knew when it had appeared in the Blue Tyrant Academy rest area, only that a single letter was addressed to him. Tang San, a cautious man after a lifetime as an assassin, still managed to trick the greasy, anxious Ma Hongjun into opening it for him. Third brother, there's some strange drawing on it, and 2 words, Tang Sect. The 2 words hit Tang San like a blow. He snatched the paper from Ma Hongjun's hand. A yin-yang fish was drawn on it, and beneath it the small characters read Tang Sect. The sight rippled through Tang San's normally calm face. A single image had exposed his greatest secret, his previous life. Panic rose cold and sharp. If his reincarnation had been discovered, might the Taoist sects that ran the Douluo Continent come for him? Tang San's mind spun. In his previous life, every Taoist sect had its emblem. This yin-yang fish was no different. A terrible thought struck. Could the place he now stood be a cave heaven of some Taoist sect? The more he thought, the more plausible it seemed. He imagined sects lining up to capture him. For a long time, Tang San simply sat frozen, too shaken to cultivate, terrified of being seized by those who governed the land. At last, others could not bear his aimlessness and woke him to action. Eastern Palace, secret chamber. Qian Renxue, the young lord of Spirit Hall, always imperious, was now leaning in Lin Yu's arms, lips curved in contentment. Married, and in the safety of their closeness, she gave herself to softness and tenderness, and Lin Yu sat dazzled by it. For a moment, he understood why an emperor might neglect morning court for a gentle bedchamber. A warm embrace was hard to leave. As Lin Yu stroked the smooth skin at the back of her neck, Qian Renxue brushed damp hair from his brow and whispered, "Xiao Yu, you said Yu Xiaogong and Tang San dared to provoke you like this. Why haven't we?" Though Qian Renxue presented her softness to Lin Yu, she was no empty ornament. From the start, she had been Spirit Hall's young lord. At 23, she had reached the 83rd level Spirit Douluo without a god test, an achievement that, while aided by Lin Yu, still spoke to her talent. Lin Yu's influence had sharpened a ruthlessness inside her. Since they were enemies, the blunt answer was to kill them. Before she finished, Lin Yu pulled her back into his arms. The contact, finding intimate spots, left Qian Renxue flushed and a little embarrassed. She playfully swatted him. "What are you doing?" Leaning close to her ear, Lin Yu smiled and whispered, "It won't be hard to eliminate Tang San, but that woman is a different matter, and so are the local powers under her command, the 4 lower sects and the like. They're a rabble, but not to be underestimated. If Grandpa doesn't act and those old men are tied up by her, The Hall of Worship, with no numerical advantage, won't find it easy to win. It's a soft whisper, and the beauty rebuked him with a smile. Using wolves to devour tigers, you're terrible. Ah! Chapter 166, Time Flies. The grand tournament is about to begin. After a night together, Lin Yu woke refreshed and full of energy. Qian Renxue, by contrast, looked utterly miserable, tormented and barely able to lift a finger. Though the experience had clearly made her happy, the gap between how they each felt afterward was painfully obvious. She ground her pearly teeth in mock resentment, but the flush on her jade-like cheeks and the dreamy look in her golden eyes betrayed her. She was still pleasantly adrift. Lin Yu fought the urge to kiss her and instead slipped quietly out to fetch porridge from the back kitchen of the Eastern Palace. Qian Renxue, still weak from the night, glowered at him but accepted the bowl obediently. He fed her, pleased with himself, then left the Eastern Palace. The Spirit Master tournament was coming, and he had work to do. He had trimmed the royal fighting team down to 5 members and had no intention of adding more. The team anchored by him was enough, no matter how strong the opponents might be. Time moved on. Over a year passed in training. Lin Yu coached the 3 remaining members of the royal fighting team and cultivated rigorously himself. The Shi brothers and Oscar hadn't yet reached Spirit King, but their progress was impressive. Both Shi brothers had climbed to level 45 Spirit Ancestor, making them captain caliber among first-tier teams in the elemental academies. Oscar, after special training, partly because Lin Yu still had an outstanding favor connected to the 7 treasure glazed tile school incident, had advanced to level 48 Spirit Ancestor, second only to Dai Weisi, the 24-year-old eldest prince of the Star Luo Empire. Dugu Yan had broken through to Spirit Emperor and stood at level 62. Lin Yu himself had the highest spirit power and the greatest overall strength among them. After breaking through to the 7-ring Spirit Saint realm with Qian Daoliu's help, he found a strange spirit beast called the Azure Jade Bird. The creature was brutal, even to its own kind, living almost its entire life in rage. Very few of its kind lasted long enough to reach 100,000 years. Those that did would petrify into a translucent jade statue the moment they crossed that mark, refusing even to face the heavenly tribulation. Lin Yu had been fortunate. He slew one as it was turning to jade and obtained a 100,000-year spirit ring. But the ring only granted a single spirit ability, Martial Soul True Body. After all the effort, the reward felt disappointingly meager. Meanwhile, his 5-colored Yi-Bird Martial Soul hadn't stalled. After gaining its 7th ring, it evolved again. Its spirit origin grew substantially, and the evolution continued, suggesting the 5-colored Yi-Bird was not the end of his spirit's growth. That prospect heartened Lin Yu. He returned to the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well in the Sunset Forest and used his Wood Spirit Scroll to further refine 2 heaven and earth treasures, the marvelous velvet sky-reaching chrysanthemum and the 9-segment purple Ganoderma. Elevated by his 2nd spirit, the 2 treasures unlocked 2 spirit abilities, Tool Martial Soul True Body and Sky-Reaching Fragrance Array. Tool Martial Soul True Body was straightforward, a static self-enhancement for the Wood Spirit Scroll. The Sky-Reaching Fragrance Array, however, was exceptional. Chrysanthemums bloom against the cycle of autumn, the season associated with metal and withering. This odd flower, blooming amid decay, embodied defiance. When the Sky-Reaching Fragrance Array was released, every spirit under the influence of Lin Yu's spirit ability would unconditionally advance 1 stage for a limited time, and the effects of their spirit abilities would be amplified by 200%. Such amplification was terrifying. It could decide battles among ordinary spirit masters below the titled Duuluo realm, and in many cases, allow a weaker side to overcome a stronger opponent, even to challenge those above, unless they were masters of Qian Daoliu's caliber. Even the old dogs in the Spirit Hall could be made deadlier with such an ability. Back in the small wooden house where he lived at the Heavendu Royal Academy, a violent fluctuation of spirit power erupted. Lin Yu had broken through again, this time to level 76 Spirit Saint. At only 20 years old, he stood among the fastest cultivators on the Douluo Continent. Only Qian Renxue had ever grown faster. Congratulations on your breakthrough, Xiao Wu. Qian Renxue's voice was soft and bright. She clapped her fair hands and beamed at him. He smiled wryly. Thanks, Xuer, but it feels hollow. I still haven't gotten the life teacher's assessment. No matter how I urge the tree of life with wood spirit power, it won't grow. It's been stuck at 98 feet for almost 2 years. Qian Renxue laughed. Her hand rested naturally over his, and she leaned against his shoulder, comforting him. You should be content. You've already passed 3 god tests. Don't forget, my god test hasn't even started yet. Her words stung him in a way no one else's could. He knew the original timeline and that the god test, which sounded impossible to most, was almost effortless for the little angel now inside Qian Renxue. But beneath the jibe was genuine concern, and he appreciated it. He stroked her golden hair and said, I know. It's just that the Spirit Master tournament is about to begin. The Heaven Do region needs you, the Crown Prince, to lead the Heaven Do Empire team. It'll be inconvenient for me to visit. A moist glint flashed in Qian Renshue's amber eyes. She had grown used to everything about Lin Yu. She leaned forward and whispered a few syllables into his ear. Whatever she said, it sent a rush through him, so fierce and primal that it felt like being turned loose as a wolf. Heart-pounding, instincts sharp, a grin spreading across his face. Chapter 167, The Spirit Master Tournament begins. Heaven Do City, the imperial capital of the Heaven Do Empire. With the start of the once every 5 years All-Continent Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament, the Heaven Do region's opening ceremony was held in the capital. As the grandest Spirit Master competition on the continent, it drew not only Spirit Masters, but also royalty, nobles, and commoners. Every citizen of Heaven Do City buzzed with anticipation. As the main venue for the region, the Heaven Do Great Spirit Arena had halted all soul dueling arena matches a month earlier for renovations. All the sub-arenas inside and the central arena's barriers were removed, leaving a vast open competition ground. For the next stretch of time, every Heaven Do regional preliminary would be held here. On the day of the opening ceremony, nearly a third of Heaven Do City thronged toward the Great Spirit Arena. Hotels of every grade had been fully booked for days. The city's population had swelled by nearly 50%. The attraction of the tournament to the people of the Douluo Continent was obvious. Near the Royal Fighting Team's training area at Heaven Do Royal Academy, several sleek, powdered-faced men with perfect hair clustered around Lin Yu. They put on obsequious smiles. Team leader Lin, one said, as you know, one member of the Royal Fighting Team is still on the front lines, and another you dismissed. That leaves us 2 short, so we were thinking. These were the scoundrels Lin Yu had rejected before. They had clout. After being turned down by Lin Yu, they had joined others to form the Academy's second team. But they knew their limits. With their amateur skill, they stood little chance against the elemental academies. Seeing the Royal Fighting Team suddenly short-handed, they hoped to merge the second team into the first and ride straight to the finals in Spirit City. Scoundrels were scoundrels. Lin Yu would never take to them. At Lin Yu's signal, Dugu Yan, already advanced to Spirit Emperor, released her spirit. Her 6 spirit rings flared, and the men went pale. A Spirit Emperor, practically the strongest in many noble families, was not someone to offend. Intimidated, the group scattered like birds. Dugu Yan watched them go with mild interest. Now I see why you don't want to recruit everyone. Some scoundrels are a real headache. Losing a few people isn't a problem. Hey, Sister Yanzi is the best. Want a hug? Get lost. After a bit of teasing, Lin Yu, Dugu Yan, the Shimo brothers, and Oscar left Heaven Do Royal Academy and followed the streaming crowd toward the Great Spirit Arena. Using the tickets Qian Renxue had sent, Lin Yu led them to the north side and into the exclusive noble section. A quarter of the seating, enough for nearly 30,000 on that side, was reserved for nobles, but only about 1,000 had taken their places. The group found seats among the scattered nobles and watched the opening ceremony quietly. The Royal Academy's second team, the very men Dugu Yan had frightened, arrived late, slated to appear second to last. They still presented well and received cheers, particularly from those seated in the noble area. No sooner had they finished than the last team, the one many had been waiting for, made a deliberately unconventional entrance. Liu Erlong must have been thinking something, because the Blue Tyrant Academy had changed its name to Shrek Academy. Clad in Flender's rather garish dark green uniforms, with sponsorship advertisements wanted printed across their backs, they shuffled across the several hundred-meter opening venue, looking embarrassed and humiliated. Lin Yu was not entirely surprised. He'd seen timeline oddities before, but what caught his attention was this. After he had eliminated 3 members from that 7-person team, there should only have been 4 left. Yet, whether by chance or interference, Shrek Academy had once again mustered 7 members, thanks to a few unknown substitutes. Ye Lingling of the Ye family and Yu Tianheng, formerly one of the twin stars of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect, aren't weak, someone murmured. Lin Yu recognized the last person too, Shui Qingliu, the woman he had driven off not long ago. As Shrek Academy finished their awkward walk through the venue, the opening ceremony drew to a close. Emperor Shui Ye, unwell, had entrusted the important duty of tournament judge to Crown Prince Shui Qinghe. After the Crown Prince's speech, the All-Continent Advanced Elite Spirit Master Academy tournament officially began. Originally, the Emperor was to draw the lots for the first round-robin match on opening day. In the original timeline, Solace had usurped Shui Ye's role, but now the Heaven Do representative had changed, replaced by someone Solace would not dare provoke. Apart from exchanging a few words with Ning Fengji, who was also a judge, Solace remained mostly silent. Ning Fengji, who loved to display his cleverness, leaned toward Shui Qinghe and asked, "Your Highness, the arena is full of our empire's young talents. Which team does your Highness favor?" Qian Renxue, disguised as Shui Qinghe, felt a flash of annoyance at Ning Fengji's question. She could tell he was looking for trouble, but she didn't back down. Calmly and smoothly, she replied, "Teacher, while the young talents on the field are indeed outstanding, you must not forget that our empire's true hope doesn't lie in these preliminaries." Ning Fengji had never expected the respectful student who responded to him so often to give him such a subtle rebuff. The words sobered him. Combined with what his beloved daughter had told him about Lin Yu appearing with a girl possessing the seraphim spirit and chasing them, an immense pressure dropped onto him. "Qinghe, teacher, let's just watch the match. Some matters can be discussed after the competition." Ning Fengji took one more long look at Shui Qinghe, at the student he had thought convenient and pliable. A flash of regret crossed his heart. He had misjudged this student. He had never imagined that the one who had always seemed weak could hide such profound depths. Chapter 168, Divine Wind defeated by Shrek, Tang Chen reveals the Clear Sky Hammer. In the years since the Feng family disappeared, Divine Wind Academy had all but declined. Only because Feng Xiaoqian, the young lord of the Feng family and a genius with innate full spirit power, still lived, had the academy managed, with great difficulty, to keep operating. Without the backing, resources, and networks the Fengs once provided, Divine Wind Academy had barely scraped together a team for the tournament. Aside from Feng Xiaoqian as their sole spirit ancestor, the other 6 members were only spirit elders. That made them marginally a first-tier team on paper, but at the current level, the other 4 elemental academies and the rising Shrek were all far stronger. Under Shui Qinghe's maneuvering, Divine Wind Academy, so hard-pressed to field a team, had the misfortune of drawing Shrek Academy in the opening match. The 2 sides reacted very differently to the news. Feng Xiaoqian, oddly relieved, did not take Shrek seriously. Their sudden rise had largely been propped up by Blue Tyrant Academy, and they remained relatively unknown. On Shrek's side, the Grandmaster, timid by nature, immediately suggested forfeiting when he heard the opponent was Divine Wind. Yu Tianheng, who had stepped into the assault role in place of Dai Mubai, disagreed and promptly appealed to Yu Xiaogang. Tang San said nothing but felt the same inward pride. As a Tang sect genius, he refused to be cowed by some regional academy. He stood with Yu Tianheng. Yu Xiaogang sighed and resigned himself. "All right, Little San and Tianheng, decide the lineup and handle it. But remember one thing, conceal your strength. Understood?" Over the years, Tang San's spirit power had grown, and though he still showed a certain outward respect for Yu Xiaogang, in his heart the Grandmaster's instructions counted for less and less. Still, Yu Tianheng, proud of his heritage and courteous toward Tang San because of the Clear Sky Sect connection, took the conversation seriously. After a brief discussion, they chose to field Shrek's near-strongest lineup. Tang San and Yu Tianheng leading, supported by Ye Lingling, Huang Yuan, Jing Ling, Ma Hongjun, and Juju King. When the contest began, Shrek's side put two spirit ancestors on the field, Tang San at level 41 and Yu Tianheng at level 44, plus spirit elder Ye Lingling, recently broken through to 39, with the remaining members uniformly at level 35. As a first match dark horse with such strength, they drew loud cheers from the audience. Divine Wind Academy, by contrast, launched into the air as soon as they activated their spirits. Only Feng Xiaoqian among them was a spirit ancestor. Half his teammates were below level 35. The sudden shift of advantage ruined Feng Xiaoqian's expression. He had not expected to run into such a dark horse in the opening match, but with the contest begun, there was no backing out. Relying on flight, Divine Wind pressed a wave of aggressive attacks meant to overwhelm Shrek's advantage in spirit power. The aerial assault gave them the upper hand for the moment, but it came at a cost. Flight consumed far more spirit power. If they could not finish the fight quickly, Divine Wind would be the ones to run out of energy. Thinking this, Feng Xiaoqian's strikes grew more frequent. He sent several azure wind blades slicing toward Tang San and Yu Tianheng, his strongest targets. Though Feng Xiaoqian's spirit power was near a breakthrough to level 45, his blows were fierce. Tang San and Yu Tianheng used their reserves more efficiently. Unable to take to the air, they stalled, forcing Feng Xiaoqian to expend ever more. Finally, impatient and enraged, Feng Xiaoqian unleashed a new offensive. The third spirit ring at his wrist flashed, spectral wings, gale wings, sprouted, and his speed jumped up a level. Watch my Storm Devil Wolf 48 consecutive slashes, he roared. The illusory wings rippled as he swung, slicing out wave after wave of spirit energy wind blades. Each slash was stronger than the last, stacking until the combined force was terrifying. Even Yu Tianheng, whose spirit defenses were exceptionally hard, was cut and bled, and he dared not resist head-on. Seeing the heir of the upper three sects retreat under his pressure filled Feng Xiaoqian with excitement. Tang San, smaller and less armored than Yu Tianheng, was hit hardest, plastered with grit and dust as the wind blades shredded the field. Picking the softest target first, Feng Xiaoqian zeroed in on Tang San and prepared to strike again. Just as he activated his self-fashioned spirit ability, a dark flash appeared in Tang San's hand. The wind blade's energy crashed against the heavy clear sky hammer he swung. One strike, two strikes, Tang San shattered blade after blade. Feng Xiaoqian's self-created spirit ability was broken the moment it manifested. Stunned, Feng Xiaoqian faltered. Tang San kept swinging the hammer with the disorder-splitting wind hammer technique, and Feng Xiaoqian was blasted clean out of the arena, losing his qualification for the match. With their captain disqualified, the 6 spirit elders of Divine Wind Academy fell one by one shortly afterward. Shrek Academy had made its name in a single battle, but Tang San's deed also painted a target on him. The Clear Sky Sect's reputation, like spirit halls, brought uneasy memories to many independent spirit masters and those from smaller forces. For the 7 treasure-glazed tile school, however, Tang San's emergence was welcome news. Ning Fengji watched him closely. Rongrong says Tang Hao is dead, Ning Fengji mused quietly. If Tang San truly has no one to rely on, then I, Ning, am willing to shelter him for the sake of our old friendship. Salas, who had been at odds with Ning Fengxi, glared in anger. But he could not afford to provoke the local power of the 7 treasure-glazed tile school, so he snorted and swallowed his resentment. They did not realize that, in making their moves, they had already been placed on the chessboard as pieces. Chapter 169, Arranging the 7 treasure-glazed tile school, Tang San becomes a son-in-law. After Shrek's match with Shenfeng, the other bouts were uneventful. Either the other 4 great spirit academies steamrolled their opponents, or the pairings were trivial. The members of the royal team were a little bored, so they sat quietly, meditating and cultivating, which drew the attention of many nobles nearby. After giving Dugu Yan a few instructions, Lin Yu left the Great Spirit Arena, altered his appearance to that of a young man, and slipped into the Spirit Hall in Heaven Dew City. His identity as a saint was not public yet, and he had no saint token, so to enter the hall, he used the elder token of the demonic bear, posing as a Spirit Master Academy dean. Escorted by a spirit hall elder, he reached Solas's usual office and waited. Solas really was loyal. As soon as the opening matches ended and news of Tang San's identity spread, he hurried back. When he opened the door and saw Lin Yu, the first thing he did was bow respectfully. Platinum Bishop Solas of Heaven Do City pays respects, young master. Solas, I suppose you've already seen everything, Lin Yu said casually as he sat in Solas's chair, his eyes flicking to the bookshelf as if looking for something, not really watching Solas. Solas hesitated a moment, then asked cautiously, Young master, do you mean Tang San from the Clear Sky Sect? Because of the Clear Sky Hammer, Solas had instinctively put Tang San in the Clear Sky Sect's category, though strictly speaking, Tang San wasn't officially part of the sect yet. Lin Yu didn't deny it. That Tang San's father is Tang Hao. 2 years ago, when Shui'er and I went into the Star Do Great Forest to hunt spirit rings, we ran into him and fought. Solas's expression altered. He voiced what he left unsaid with tact. If that Tang San is his son, then Tang Hao. Having served in the spirit hall so long, Solas knew how to speak around things. Sometimes a superior only gives half a sentence, and the other half can be awkward to ask directly. Solas's greatest strengths were discretion and careful observation. He finished for Lin Yu without prying. Lin Yu appreciated it and went on. Tang Hao was hit by Shui'er's 8th spirit skill in that battle, Lin Yu said. His figure completely dispersed. Logically, he should have died, yet no spirit bone was left behind. I suspect Tang Hao is still alive, hiding somewhere. This time, the Spirit Hall's Advanced Spirit Master Academy tournament may still have some variables. Solas's face changed. He immediately asked, Should I report this matter? You may, Lin Yu answered, but there's one condition. You must help me. Please instruct, young master. Solas's eagerness was plain. He had no idea what the order would demand, but he agreed without hesitation, the chair creaking under his emphatic movement. Lin Yu turned to face him. It's simple. That encounter with Tang Hao exposed Shui'er and me to Ning Fengji. Since we're exposed, I don't plan to hide any longer. I intend to destroy the 7 treasure glazed tiles school. But before we act, Bishop Solas, I want you to confront Ning Fengji and occupy him, distract him. Do you understand? Destroying one of the 2 great sects of the era would be a major merit for him. It could even be used to advance his position, so Solas was both willing and fortunate to play a part. He promptly accepted Lin Yu's plan to delay and paralyze Ning Fengji. While the 2 men discussed matters quietly, Ning Fengji had already returned to the 7 treasure glazed tile school with Tang San and Ning Rongrong. Without a run-in with the 100,000-year spirit beast Xiao Wu, and with Oscar's attempts at courting Ning Rongrong cut off before they began, and with Tang Hao's apparent death, Ning Fengji had other considerations. For the 7 treasure glazed tile school, marriage alliances, whether a man marrying into the family or a woman marrying out, essentially meant becoming a live-in son-in-law. In earlier times, the stubborn Tang San would have flatly refused such a thing, but circumstances outweighed personal pride. Under Ning Fengji's guidance, Tang San learned more. There was a blood feud between his family and the Spirit Hall, and the man he had seen die, Tang Hao, had apparently perished at the Spirit Hall's hands. Blood vengeance had to be reckoned with. At the same time, Tang San's identity had already been exposed. Without backing, living under someone else's protection was not an unreasonable move. After weighing the matter, he agreed. Tang San became a son-in-law of the 7 treasure glazed tile school and Ning Rongrong's fiancé. The news that Ning Rongrong, the long-appointed successor of the 7 treasure glazed tile school, had chosen a husband stirred Heaven Do City. If not for the distraction of the continent-wide Advanced Spirit Master Academy tournament, Tang San would have been the talk of every lane and alley. Though the common people of Heaven Do City had not yet learned of it, the nobles certainly had, and most of them congratulated the 7 treasure glazed tile school. Tang San's reputation rose accordingly, more out of respect for the school and the Clear Sky Sect than for him personally. After watching another day of preliminary matches, Lin Yu was leaving the arena when he spotted a familiar carriage. Peeking from behind the curtain, Qian Renxue had half her face veiled. When she saw Lin Yu, her eyes curved into bright crescents. Lin Yu smiled, climbed into the carriage, pulled the curtain shut and drew her into an embrace. "Shuer, you're braver than before. We're not on home ground yet," he murmured. Qian Renxue wrapped her arms around his waist, laying her small head against his chest. "I know," she said softly. "You must have heard about that Tang San. I can't fathom what he's thinking. With such a deep hatred between us and him, he actually still dares to compete. If he advances, I don't believe he'll really go to Spirit City for the finals. Does he think the 7-treasure glazed tile school is invincible?" Some things even Qian Renxue could not understand. When the enemy was stronger and they were exposed, it might make sense to flee, but to walk straight into danger after being revealed, such rashness made one doubt his senses. In her tone was a strange, amused menace. If he were a fool, she might even find herself sparing him. Chapter 170. Overbearing Huyanzhen, meeting the Shui sisters again. Thump! 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 Amid the roar of the Great Spirit Arena, the Heaven Do Empire's only heavyweight team strode out, the Elephant Armored Academy. Towering over 2 meters, with 2-meter waists and bronze skin, they moved like an approaching earthquake. 7 members made up the team, 3 spirit ancestors and 4 spirit elders. Their mountain-like bodies advanced like a living city wall. Not long after, the other contestants entered to an even louder cheer. 7 graceful, slender figures in lake blue uniforms glided onto the stage, each woman unique, elegant, and full of charm. Aside from the exclusive all-female Heaven Water Academy, no other school on the Douluo Continent could field so many beautiful women who all wielded ice and water spirit powers. Leading them was a girl with ice-blue hair, fine brows, and skin as fair as snow. She carried an unearthly calm and presence. Shui Binger, captain of the Heaven Water Academy team, was already a level 45 spirit ancestor at only 17, thanks to a treasure the protagonist had given her. Except for the royal fighting team, she was the highest spirit power in the Heaven Do Empire. Confronted by the formidable Elephant Armored Academy, Shui Binger's face never changed. People are visual creatures. As soon as she led the Heaven Water girls onto the stage, every eye in the arena turned to them. The crowd's cheers shifted overwhelmingly in their favor. Even the bickering Ningfengji and Solace shared an amused look. But not everyone was pleased. Nearby, an old man with white hair and beard, his bulk even more exaggerated than Huyanli's on the field, snorted. "They only know petty tricks," he said coldly. This was Huyanzhen, sect master of the Elephant Armored Academy, nicknamed Heavenly Elephant, a peak spirit Douluo who had been stuck at level 89 for years. Ningfengji and the others just smiled and didn't take him seriously. At the referee's signal, the match began. A phoenix materialized behind Shui Binger and cried out, startling the crowd. The moment she summoned her spirit, her teammates were ready. With their coordinated effort, the arena instantly became a world of ice and snow. Huyan Li was about to give orders when Shui Binger froze and controlled him. While she held him, the Heaven Water girls seized the chance, each unleashing control or attack spirit abilities. In less than a breath, they combined to eliminate Huyan Li before he could react. Huyanzhen's face darkened at his grandson's swift defeat. A wave of oppressive aura rolled toward the arena. Shui Qinghe, seated in the main pavilion and already disdainful of outsiders, snapped, "Sect Master Huyan, what are you doing? Interfering in the Spirit Master Elite competition will make the match unfair and arouse public outrage. Do you think the Elephant Armored Academy can shoulder that blame?" With Shui Qinghe's rebuke, Ningfengji and Solace found justification to step in and confronted Huyanzhen together. Huyanzhen, not quick on his feet, instinctively glanced at Solace and saw the furious expression. That look, more than anything, forced him to rein in his aura. He snorted and drew his pressure back. Even so, the interference had already affected the contest. What should have been a quick sweep turned into a stalemate while both teams adjusted. After all, the officials had done their duty by checking Huyanzhen enough to stop further disruption. Fortunately for Heaven Water Academy, they had already taken out Huyan Li at the start. Though the remaining elephant-armored members resisted with sheer physical toughness, the gap in spirit power and the chaos in command meant they couldn't hold out. After about a quarter of an hour, the elephant-armored team exhausted their spirit power. One by one, they were knocked off the stage by Heaven Water's displeased girls. When the match ended, Huyan Zhen's expression was the ugliest of any in the arena. He didn't even look kindly at his grandson. Led by Shui Binger, the Heaven Water girls returned to their preparation area. Shui Yuer, usually the most lively of the group, was in a huff, fuming like an irritated cat and muttering about Huyan Zhen's bullying. "Ah, that's outrageous. That old geezer Huyan Zhen always uses his strength to bully the weak. If I were a titled Douluo, I'd..." She pounded the air with her small, delicate fists to emphasize her indignation. The other girls clustered around Shui Binger, chattering like a noisy flock, while Shui Binger herself sat quietly to meditate and recuperate. Lin Yu arrived quietly. He didn't hide his presence. The moment he appeared, Shui Yuer and the others turned with suspicion. "Hello, classmate," Shui Yuer said. "Did you take a wrong turn? This is Heaven Water Academy's rest area." Though flirtatious by nature, Shui Yuer was not naive. She kept a wary distance, and the girls behind her were even more guarded. Lin Yu smiled, clearly amused. "Hello, Miss Yuer. My name's Lin Yu. I've come to entrust something to you ladies. After it's handled, I can pay for your services. What do you think?" A jade box appeared in his hand. Before he could open it, a fair, delicate jade-white hand pressed gently on the lid. A clear, pleasant voice with a cool edge spoke. "There's no need for payment. I'll consider your request, but first you must answer one question." Lin Yu turned and met those icy blue eyes. Shui Binger's question, however, sent a ripple through the Heaven Water Academy girls. To anyone else, it might have seemed strange, but Shui Yuer's sister knew her too well. Shui Binger was normally so aloof that it was unheard of for her to approach someone like this. In the Heaven Water Academy lineup, Shui Binger, barely 17 but already rank 45, carried real weight. When she spoke, the others fell silent and watched. Lin Yu smiled, calm. "All right, Miss Binger. Ask whatever you wish. I'll tell you what I know." He never spoke in absolutes. He always kept an exit. Shui Binger's red lips curved, a flicker of anticipation in her eyes. Without hesitation, she asked, "Then I'll be direct. Did you visit the Frost Forest in Tianshui City about 10 years ago? And is this yours, young master?" She held up two small jade boxes identical to the one Lin Yu had just produced. For a moment, he smiled with recognition. "I didn't expect a small thing from years ago to be remembered," he said. "It was on impulse at the time." He explained, giving those ice ginsengs had been a spur-of-the-moment decision, a little experiment to see how Tang Chen would react to someone stronger like Shui Binger. He hadn't imagined she would remember it so clearly. Shui Binger's usually stern face softened into an amused smile. "My parents always said, you must never forget gratitude or resentment. Those who help you are important in your life and should be treasured. Young Master Yu, so why have you come now?" She deliberately lengthened his name as if chiding him for not using it properly. Lin Yu felt a touch awkward, then laughed it off. "I'm glad to be one of those people worth remembering. As for why I came..." Her expression turned sharp. "When we face them, we'll give it our all. We don't need help, but since you appeared, my sisters and I will be more aggressive. Focus on Tang Chen. Agreed?" Lin Yu nodded and left a jade box on the ground. In a blink, he was gone, moving so fast the Heaven Water girls could hardly follow his retreating figure. Shui Binger stared after him for a long moment, then picked up the box with a soft whisper. "I told him I didn't need it." "Heh, I didn't expect you would finally meet the one you were thinking about. He's handsome, my type, and he treats you well, sister." Shui Yuer, her ink-black hair slipping over one shoulder, gave a mischievous grin and reached for the box. Before she could touch it, Shui Binger shot her a look. The younger sister immediately wilted. The other older girls piled on the teasing. The room filled with lively, sisterly ridicule. No one envied the seventh girl's plight. After leaving Heaven Water Academy, Lin Yu happened upon another match. Thunder Academy, backed by a branch of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect, facing Divine Wind Academy. Divine Wind, already weakened after losing to Shrek Academy earlier in the week, fell again to Thunder. Feng Xiaoqian's expression soured. He was worried. If the losses kept piling up, his chances of cracking the top 5 in the preliminaries would slip away, along with any hope of promotion matches. Frustrated, he stormed over to Lin Yu, but Lin Yu only cast him a cool, indifferent glance. It felt like the right moment to send Feng Xiaotian to join the Feng family members who had once ambushed him, a private thought left unspoken as the day's duels pressed on. The Soul Dueling Arena's matches ran all day and finally wound down that evening. Lin Yu slipped out of the Great Spirit Arena following Qian Renxue, still disguised as Shui Qinghe, and they headed straight for the Eastern Palace. In a private chamber, Qian Renxue shed her male clothing and emerged in a classical long dress threaded with gold, the stand-up collar framing her neck. She sat deliberately on Lin Yu's lap, smiling down at him. "Xiao Yu," she asked softly, "am I good to you?" "How could you not be?" Lin Yu answered. "We're already husband and wife in everything that matters, only the ceremony is missing." He brushed a stray lock of hair from her ear. Qian Renxue let her hair tumble loose and, with mock seriousness, scolded him. "Then tell me about your trip to Heaven Water Academy today. What were you doing there, noble youth?" A chill went down Lin Yu's spine. Caught, then. He hadn't been careful. He confessed without pretense. There was nothing to hide beyond the old memory. Qian Renxue listened, then leaned forward and pressed a soft kiss to his forehead. She laughed. "All right, I won't tease you. I'm not angry. I knew about Shui Binger. Actually, I wanted to see her too. It's been years." Realizing he'd been outplayed, Lin Yu's face shifted. In playful retaliation, he transformed into a wolf and lunged, but Qian Renxue was no longer an innocent. Competitive and spirited, she fought back with equal ardor. How the night would end depended, as always with them, on who could win the struggle. Outside, dark clouds hid the moon, and the night's beauty was muted. Lin Yu and Qian Renxue poured their emotions into each other, but elsewhere other competitors still wrestled with the brutal demands of the round robin, each trying to survive the next unforgiving match. Chapter 172, 3 consecutive losses, struck down and doubting life. Shrek Academy had been the surprise dark horse of the first round robin. For a while they were unstoppable, and Dean Flender couldn't hide his grin. The streak, however, did not last. In quick succession, they ran into the Elephant Armored Academy and the Blazing Academy, and were defeated by both. Grandmaster Yu Xiaogang, never one for melodrama, took it philosophically. Compared to those established powerhouses within the Heaven Dew Empire, Shrek Academy was still at an innate disadvantage. Without external backing, it was impressive they'd competed so well at all. Pride, though, cut deeper than reason for people like Tang Chen and Yu Tianheng. Losing even one match was intolerable. "We can't keep losing like this," Yu Tianheng snapped. "If we don't turn things around, we may not even get past the promotion rounds." Tang San's eyes flashed. He was proud too, but he kept his words cool. "Brother Tianheng, what do you want to do? Go all out." By all out, he meant fielding their full-strength lineup. Tang San, Yu Tianheng himself, Ma Hongjun, Ye Lingling, Shi Qingliu, and Ning Rongrong, leaving the 3 substitutes Huang Yuan, Jing Ling, and Jiang Zhu on the bench. As captain, Yu Tianheng paused only briefly, then disregarded Grandmaster Yu Xiaogang's caution. "Do it," he said. "Next match, Ma Hongjun, Shi Qingliu, and Ning Rongrong go on stage with us." Heaven Water Academy versus Shrek Academy, neither lacked popularity. Heaven Water Academy, however, was the only all-female Spirit Master Academy on the Douluo Continent, and in a world not unlike a medieval age, it had a particular charm that outshone Shrek's rough-and-ready reputation. Shui Binger led her team onto the arena with icy grace. The male members of Shrek Academy, except Tang San, Ning Rongrong, and Juju King, watched the Heaven Water Girls with predatory eyes. Ma Hongjun, Shui Qingliu, and Yu Tianheng's stares were blunt enough to be seen from the other side of the stage. Tang San could only twitch his mouth in disgust. Shui Binger noticed. A cold glint flashed in her clear ice-blue eyes, and she paid them no mind. When the referee called the match, Heaven Water's coordination showed immediately. The team activated their spirits with tacit precision, revealing 3 spirit ancestors and 4 high-level spirit elders. Yellow and purple spirit rings glinted in orderly fashion. In an instant, the arena, just a few hundred square meters, was transformed into a frozen world as they released spirit power. Following Lin Yu's instructions, Shui Binger targeted Tang San first. Her opening spirit ability, Ice Seal, was an instantaneous control move. Tang San's attack power wasn't particularly high in his present stance, and the seal hit him squarely. He had watched Heaven Water Academy's matches and anticipated this possibility, but there was no resisting that instant cast control. Fortunately, Tang San had prepared some defense. Juju King and Shui Qingliu intercepted Yu Hairo, the spirit ancestor with the coral barracuda spirit who was closing on Tang San. But Tang San had been thinking of himself only. Juju Qing and Shui Qingliu, both agility attack spirit elders, were vulnerable when they collided with Yu Hairo, and Shui Binger immediately struck them with her control. An ice seal plus freezing cold slammed into Juju King, who was only at level 35. In less than a breath, she was knocked out of the arena. Shui Qingliu, even after Ning Rongrong boosted her, was similarly flung away by Heaven Water's coordinated assault. Ma Hongjun, Evil Fire Phoenix himself, found water attribute countermeasures especially effective. He was overwhelmed and eliminated soon after. Panicked at the prospect of yet another loss, Tang San abandoned the useless blue-silver grass and grabbed the clear sky hammer. Around him, the sinister, venomous spider legs he could manifest appeared, 8 full and menacing. But Shui Binger was not only skilled, she was a brilliant judge of tempo. The instant Tang San struck, she called Xiao Wu. At her summons, the support spirit ancestor Xiao Wu, a fellow spirit ancestor from Heaven Water, rushed in. A crisp phoenix cry sounded, and a lifelike ice phoenix, 7 or 8 meters tall, took form in the arena. Whether because of Lin Yu's orders or simply dislike for the shameless stares from Ma Hongjun and the others, Shui Binger made a choice she hadn't in the original timeline. She offered no warning to Tang San. Ice crystals converged into a storm. Without the ice-fire immunity granted by the Heaven and Earth treasure, and with his external spirit bone still unevolved, Tang San suffered under Shui Binger and Shui Wu's fused spirit ability, ice and snow drifting. The frozen onslaught shredded his spider legs. The extreme cold stole his consciousness. Tang San collapsed and fainted on the spot. Yu Tianheng was swept up and thrown clear by the ice phoenix as well. With both spirit ancestors dominating the field, Ma Hongjun and Ye Lingling had no choice but to yield. Shrek Academy had fallen again. After losses to Elephant Armored and Blazing Academies, they now lost to Heaven Water. Shui Binger's ice-blue eyes glinted with something like anticipation. She had been waiting for someone, hoped to see a particular face, but that person did not appear today. Tang San lay unconscious for a long time before he finally stirred. The first thing he muttered, unsteady and dazed, was, "Did we win?" Yu Tianheng, pale, shook his head. They had lost. The memory of his blue-silver grass being helplessly frozen during the fight hit Tang San hard. He slammed a fist weakly against the bed and stared at his palm, expression empty. "It's my fault," he murmured. "If my spirit hadn't held us back, at least we wouldn't have lost so badly." In the original timeline, Tang San had scraped by against Heaven Water Academy by conserving reserves. This time, with their main members all present, Shrek Academy still suffered a decisive defeat. The blow shook Tang San to his core. He was the Tang Sect's greatest prodigy. He never imagined he could be put down so hard by a handful of girls. Tang San's origin was roughly from a feudal period following the Song dynasty, a fact he would recall now with bitter irony as he tasted the sting of 3 consecutive losses. Chapter 173. Shrek defeated again. Lin Yu, the unlucky scapegoat. 3 straight losses, to Elephant Armored, Blazing Fire, and Tianshui, hit Tang San hard and cast a pall over everyone at Shrek Academy. They still had one more scheduled opponent, Thunder Academy, but if they met them, their chances looked slim. Spirit power levels were simply too low. Aside from Yu Tianheng and Tang San, who were spirit ancestors, everyone else was rank 35, with only one higher-ranked spirit elder, 9-Heart Begonia Ye Lingling. Ye Lingling's healing was extraordinary, but healing always took time. Thunder Academy had followed the extreme flow for years, cultivating powerful individuals. At the titled Duuluo level, that individual's strength could often decide the outcome. The balanced flow had only been introduced recently to meet the needs of the Spirit Master Tournament, but even with it, Thunder's students still had strong personal power, a sharp contrast with Shrek, which had followed the balanced path from the start and had severely underdeveloped individual factors. As the round-robin qualifiers in the Heaven Dew City division neared their end, Shrek Academy found itself in a very difficult position whenever they faced Thunder Academy. At first, they could hold on relying on Ningrongrong's amplification, but unexpectedly, a wisp of lightning from a Thunder Academy control spirit ancestor using a Thunder Spider spirit directly knocked Ningrongrong unconscious. With Ningrongrong down, Tang Chen, already engaged to her, lost his composure. Eyes blazing, he unleashed a volley of hidden weapons at Yu Tianqin and the others. A Spirit Emperor-level referee standing nearby intercepted Tang San's hidden weapons for Thunder Academy and, with impartiality, ruled the match a loss for Shrek Academy. Tang San was stunned. "What have I done? We've already lost 4 matches. If we lose one more, it'll be disaster." For a moment, he recalled the days when Shrek had clinched a spot in the tournament, each of them so full of hope for the all-continent Spirit Master Elite tournament. Encouraged by Dean Flender's graduation task of winning the Spirit Master Tournament, Tang San had believed getting the 3 Spirit Bones Spirit Hall handed out would be as easy as reaching into a bag. Now they hadn't even cleared the preliminaries, and reality was teaching them a hard lesson. 4 straight losses to Elemental Academies had put top 5 qualification out of reach if they lost again. They weren't the only ones worried. Kanghui Academy, with whom they had old grievances, faced the same danger. On the walk back from the Great Spirit Arena to Shrek's temporary hotel, Tang San felt a growing unease. But after a while, that feeling dimmed. Watching them return safely, Xi Nian's eyes flashed with a sinister, unwilling look. "Damn it! Who did that? How dare someone ruin my plans?" The burly man in tattered black robes, hidden in the shadows and who had just made a move, hadn't expected someone else to act before him. That intervention had even made him hesitate. "Oh, isn't this the dean of Kanghui Academy, whose results have been pretty good this year? Why are you still lingering here after the competition? Aren't you supposed to be back planning tactics for your students?" Came a slightly teasing, cynical voice. The newcomer was extraordinarily handsome. His light red eyes were unusual. It was Lin Yu, killing time and hoping to earn some extra money. Lin Yu's appearance made the cautious Xi Nian relax a little. Spirit power and age weren't tightly correlated, but Lin Yu looked about 20, at most a spirit king, so Xi Nian felt confident. Xi Nian's snake-like eyes narrowed as he judged the youth and sneered. "Boy, since you let my prey go, you'll have to compensate me for my loss." Lin Yu was speechless. He hadn't rescued Tang San out of boredom or compassion. He'd been waiting in the dark, planning to slip in after Xi Nian and Tang San clashed and take advantage. He hadn't expected Tang San to have been secretly helped, allowing his target to escape back to Shrek Academy's hotel. If Lin Yu didn't act quickly, he'd lose both his prize and the chance to profit. Xi Nian was merciless. He immediately released a strange spirit, Remnant Dream, a rare mental force spirit he trusted to attack a competitor during the Spirit Master Tournament hosted by Spirit Hall and the 2 empires. Ordinary people, even Tang San in the original timeline, after consuming the yearning for autumn water dew, had been led to the brink by Xi Nian and nearly killed. For Lin Yu, however, Xi Nian's attack was nothing. Lin Yu's spirit power was 4 ranks higher than Xi Nian's, and his mental force was comparable to a titled Douluo. With a slight concentration of his mental force, Xi Nian's spirit ability collapsed of its own accord. Mental system spirit masters were fearsome, but their fatal flaw was that facing someone with superior mental force could shatter even the most exquisite schemes. Xi Nian stared in disbelief as his prideful spirit ability broke. This is impossible." Before he could finish, Lin Yu grabbed Xi Nian's shoulder. He had prepared for this and immediately used his 4th spirit ability, Mysterious Golden 4 Leaps. In an instant, Lin Yu and the struggling Xi Nian appeared in a secluded alley. The Qingxuang sword was already in Lin Yu's hand. With a single strike, Xi Nian, who had relied almost entirely on mental techniques and lacked skill in close combat, was killed outright. As Xi Nian died, the ghost leopard that followed Lin Yu materialized and swept the corpse away. "Take the items back later. Dispose of the body cleanly," Lin Yu ordered. "Yes, young master." The ghost leopard answered and vanished to a secret location to handle the cleanup. Despite how smoothly the side job had gone, Lin Yu wasn't pleased. He had, unintentionally, acted as Tang San's bodyguard and eliminated Xi Nian for him. He felt used. Still, thinking of his larger plans, he didn't dwell on it. He turned his gaze south. After 2 years of fighting, it was time for the last act to begin. Chapter 174, End of the Round Robin, Jilong's Death. The Round Robin stage in the Heaven Do region had lasted nearly a month. After 30 days of fierce competition, the 5 teams that would advance to the qualification stage were finally decided. First place went, without surprise, to Heaven Water Academy. Normally a mid-ranked school among the 5 elemental academies, they rode a sudden surge to finish undefeated, 28 wins, 0 losses. In second place was Thunder Academy, backed by a branch of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect. They lost only once to Heaven Water and posted 27 wins. Blazing Academy took third with 26 victories, having lost to Heaven Water and Thunder. Fourth place was more unexpected. Elephant Armored Academy, which hadn't even cracked the top 5 in the original timeline, qualified with 25 wins after falling to the top 3. And the dark horse this year was Shrek Academy, which scraped into 5th with 24 wins and 4 losses after repeatedly meeting defeat against 4 of the 5 elemental academies. At the closing ceremony for the Heaven Do region, those 5 academies received the standard tournament rewards, 10,000 gold coins and a promotion certificate from the Heaven Do Empire. As the first place team, Heaven Water Academy sent the shy Shui Binger forward to accept on their behalf. Encouraged by her teammates, she approached Shui Qingye, the crown prince. Shui Binger's delicate, misty beauty made a pleasant impression on Qian Renxue when she saw her again after many years. But because Qian Renxue was still maintaining Shui Qingye's appearance to avoid trouble and misunderstanding, she offered only a brief, polite congratulations and nothing more. Her greetings to the other 4 qualifying academies were even more cursory. On the surface, it seemed harmless, but Lin Yu could feel the reserve beneath the politeness. After the awards were handed out, the verbal sparring between Ningfengji and Solace continued. The 2 traded barbs until Shui Qinghe stepped in and allowed Ningfengji to read the closing address. Solace pretended annoyance at losing the argument, but inwardly he was satisfied. He had long had dealings with Lin Yu and knew the rumors about Lin Yu's conflicts with Ningfengji and the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Solace understood that Lin Yu was far more than merely the Spirit Hall's saint. Whether or not he ever became Supreme Pontiff, he would be a dominant figure there. Given how audacious the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School was, their future was predictable. Ning Fengji's reputation as the social magnet of the Spirit Master world was well earned. His rhetoric during the ceremony lauded those who had failed to advance, but he skimmed over the schools that succeeded, signaling his true intentions. The influence of the elemental academies still ran deep. Without some maneuvering, the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School couldn't hope to poach from them. Those who hadn't advanced were a different story. After a round of obligatory recruitment talk, Ning Fengji returned to the main address and the closing of the preliminaries. With that, the preliminary rounds in the Heaven Do City division ended. Aside from the 5 teams that would remain for the qualification stage, most others packed up and returned home. Not everyone left immediately. Feng Xiaoqian, for one, was reluctant to go and had to be held back by teammates. Feng Xiaoqian's Divine Wind Academy had only recently seen 6 members reach Spirit Elder. Their highest rank among them was just 32. With such strength, they were at best a mid-tier round-robin contender. It was only because Feng Xiaoqian himself, a spirit ancestor, led them that they finished 7th. Without him, making the top 15 would have been unlikely. But 7th or 15th, the result was the same. They had not advanced to the qualification stage and would not be going to Spirit Hall for the finals. Determined to change that, Feng Xiaoqian went straight to Spirit Hall after the closing ceremony and requested an audience with Solace, who served on the Heaven Do region's organizing committee. Solace had heard of Feng Xiaoqian, of his innate full spirit power, even before he became master of the Heaven Do City Spirit Hall. He could not fathom why Feng Xiaoqian's rank was only 44 after so many years, but he agreed to meet, operating with the pragmatic attitude of buying a dead horse's bones for 1,000 gold. The two spoke privately at length. When Feng Xiaoqian emerged, there was a new burning ambition in his eyes. The Feng family's power had been shattered, and the Divine Wind Academy was no longer under the family's control. Feng Xiaoqian had resolved to reclaim the academy and rebuild his family, whatever the cost. Even if he had to offend Spirit Hall or accept humiliating terms from the Huo family, he was prepared to risk everything. The qualification stage itself would not be held in Heaven Do City. Only the city's round robin had concluded. Tournaments in the kingdom-level and duchy-level territories of the Heaven Do Empire were either still underway or only just beginning. They would have to wait nearly another month before the full qualification stage across the empire could start. One notable exception was the Balak Kingdom. Engulfed by the war between the Heaven Do Empire and the Star Luo Empire, it could not participate in the tournaments. After 500,000 elite Heaven Do troops pushed into Balak, they seized much of the remaining territory. Over 2 years of fighting the Star Luo forces, led by a royal marshal, the Balak lands changed hands again and again. Ultimately, the two empires more or less split the kingdom's territory 50-50. The Balak kingdom was left devastated. The Star Luo Empire managed to maintain its prestige and even gained half a province of land from the Heaven Do. With their gains secured, the Star Luo opted to press for peace. Daimubai, the fallen third prince, no longer mattered to either side. He was a prince, not an emperor, and his fate carried little weight compared to strategic gains. For the Heaven Do Empire, too, the cost of prolonged warfare was unbearable. Qian Renxue, who exercised effective control behind the scenes, wanted the draining war to end quickly and protected the empire's resources. Before long, both sides signed peace, and the former Balak kingdom was partitioned and administered by the two empires. Then came the unexpected blow. On his return to the capital, Geelong, the imperial marshal who had been a campaign commander, attempted a breakthrough and failed. The result was catastrophic. His spirit power ruptured within his body, and he died. A generation's imperial marshal had perished in an instant. Ji Xiang, a member of the royal fighting team who had been accompanying him and was expected to rejoin the team, vanished without a trace. Chapter 175. The promotion tournament begins. After the Heaven Do Empire's army returned to the capital and withdrew from the former Balak kingdom, they did not immediately go back to Heaven Do City. Qian Renxue had completely concealed the deaths of Geilong and Xiang, preventing the news from spreading. With the Balak War over, people's attention soon shifted away. Before long, everyone's focus returned to the ongoing all-continent Advanced Spirit Master Elite Tournament, which was still in full swing. The Royal Hunting Ground lay 50 kilometers southwest of Heaven Do City. Its varied terrain and vast area made it a place for the royal family to hunt and to train. To avoid unnecessary trouble and to keep other academies from observing the strengths of teams entering the promotion tournament, the 13 Advanced Spirit Master Academies that qualified were lodged at different locations. 5 teams were from the Heaven Do Empire, the 4 Elemental Academies and Shrek Academy, all of which had qualified from the Heaven Do City Division. The other 8 teams came from the 4 vassal kingdoms and duchies nominally under the Heaven Do Empire. The Balak Kingdom did not participate because of the war. Otherwise, there would have been 15 teams instead of 13. With Balak gone, the remaining 4 vassals felt a shared sorrow. Tomorrow, the promotion tournament would officially begin. Dedicated attendants would lead each team to the venue. There would be no opening ceremony. The matches would begin immediately. Judges from both the Empire and the Spirit Hall would oversee the outcomes to ensure fairness. Like the earlier round-robin qualifiers, this stage would also use a round-robin format. With 13 teams, each team would face 12 opponents, 1 round per day. One team would have a bye each day. 6 matches would be held daily at the same venue, and the competition would last 12 days. After about half a month of rest, the qualifiers would travel to Spirit City, located between the Star Luo Empire and the Heaven Do Empire, for the grand finals. With the Royal Knights encamped at the hunting ground, the teams that had qualified from the Heaven Do Division arrived a few days later. As Crown Prince, Shui Qinghe needed to appear to maintain order for the competition. Solace and Ning Fengji also arrived shortly afterward. Because of the complex and tense relationships, both open and hidden, among the 3, Shui Qinghe and Ning Fengji traveled together to Shrek Academy's location once all the academies had settled. Ning Fengji had thought Tang San was under his control, but Tang San's sudden cold distance left Ning Fengji brooding. After leaving Shrek Academy, Shui Qinghe and Ning Fengji parted ways. Shui Qinghe headed to the Royal Knights Command encampment. Before he could enter the tent, a hearty voice called out, "Your servant Lin Zhan respectfully greets your highness the Crown Prince." The commander of the Royal Knights was Lin Zhan, Lin Yu's father. His tone held unusual cheer. That Lin Zhan commanded the Royal Knights, the Empire's trump card and most elite force, was largely thanks to the efforts of a certain future daughter-in-law. Shui Qinghe's expression softened at the sight of Lin Zhan. "Uncle Zhan, there's no need for such formality. You are, after all, my imperial father's brother. By the way, is Lin Yu here?" "Haha, he's been waiting for your highness for a long time. He's in the tent behind. I'll lead you there." Under Lin Zhan's guidance, Shui Qinghe arrived outside Lin Yu's tent. Without further ceremony, they entered. Lin Yu, having just finished his cultivation, saw them first. "Father, Shuier, you're here too." Shui Qinghe smiled, then a white light flashed across a figure beside Lin Yu. The Crown Prince's usual attire dissolved, and in its place stood Qian Renxue in her true form, golden hair and exquisite features. She first bowed to the elder Lin Zhan, then hurried to Lin Yu's side. The quick-witted Lin Zhan immediately realized this was a private moment he ought not to intrude on. He found an excuse and left hurriedly, leaving Lin Yu and Qian Renxue alone in the tent. Once Lin Zhan had gone, Lin Yu and Qian Renxue grew bolder with each other. After a while, Qian Renshue's cheeks flushed. After making some forward advances, she quietly leaned into Lin Yu's arms, her clothes a little disordered, and told him some recent news. Uncle Xiong said that while he was monitoring Shrek Academy, he sensed an aura near it that was no weaker than his own. From his deductions, that presence is very likely Tang Hao. He's not dead. Tang Hao not being dead was not unexpected to Lin Yu. What worried him was that a power beyond Douluo Star had appeared, and that power was intervening in events on Douluo Star at all costs. Its purpose seemed focused on Tang San, protecting him and preventing any accidents. Lin Yu fell silent, thinking. Qian Renxue watched him and pouted, waving a delicate hand in front of his face. "What are you thinking about, Xiao Yu?" "Tang Hao is strange, yes, but if need be, Grandpa and the others can handle him." Lin Yu returned to himself, stroking Qian Renshue's soft golden hair with affection. "It's fine. I'll figure out what to do about Tang Hao. Your most important job right now is to rest and be with me." Qian Renxue rolled her eyes at him but showed no displeasure. Soon she used spirit power to seal the tent and began to undress in front of Lin Yu. The night passed wordlessly. When they woke the next morning, both felt refreshed. Because of the competition, Qian Renxue once again transformed to appear as Shui Qinghe and slipped out of an empty tent connected to Lin Yu's. Unlike the preliminary round-robin qualifiers, the promotion tournament, while still round-robin in schedule, would use an arena-style format for individual battles. Fights continued until all members of one side had lost their ability to fight. This format put more emphasis on individual strength, giving many fighters who considered themselves powerful new hope and opportunity. Chapter 176, Shui Binger's Invitation. Shui Qinghe. There were 6 matches a day in the promotion tournament. To everyone's surprise, Heaven Water Academy, ranked first in the Heaven Do City region, had the first day off. A day's rest was lucky. It meant they could watch the fights and gather intelligence on opponents beforehand. Heaven Water had no substitutes. Every team member had been sent by Shui Binger to scout the other academies. Shui Binger herself had learned through academy and family channels that Lin Yu was the captain of the Royal Fighting Team, a seeded team from the Heaven Do Empire. For a shy girl like her, extracting information was never easy. Thinking of her sister's teasing, she muttered to herself and brushed a strand of ice-blue hair behind her ear. "It's all that fool Yuer's fault." If she hadn't blurted it out, a faint blush colored her fair cheeks. Then she composed herself and walked toward Lin Yu just as the first match finally began. The Blazing Academy was facing Fabia, a high-level spirit master academy from a vassal state. First on stage was their vice-captain, Xiao Wu, tall, long dark red hair, delicate features. She was pretty in an ordinary way, but Lin Yu felt she couldn't compare to the women in his own family, and even next to Shui Binger, she lacked a certain bearing. That didn't stop Feng Xiaoqian from being utterly smitten. Love was a mysterious thing, Lin Yu thought with a wry twist of his mouth. Appearance aside, Huo Wu shouldn't be underestimated. At 19, she was a 42nd level spirit ancestor, ranking high among the elemental academies. Lin Yu had no interest in her personally, but he was intrigued by her spirit. Fire shadow, he whispered to himself. A shadow as a spirit, and with a fire attribute. Could that count as a body spirit? Strictly speaking, a person's shadow was part of the body. In the classic texts of his previous life, a human shadow was even linked to yin and yang. Under that view, the shadow could be considered a body spirit. Huo Wu's just happened to carry a fire attribute. Because of her family's path, she had developed along the fire element and not cultivated the shadow's innate potential. It was a pity. If she lived thousands of years later, she might thrive with the era's different methods of cultivation. The power of a body spirit was usually low at first and needed a second awakening to improve. Lin Yu thought of how some prodigies in later ages had struggled early on because of one weak level of spirit power. Had they not had low innate power, they wouldn't have been so easily manipulated by powerful figures above them. While he pondered, Huo Wu, a control-type spirit master, dispatched her first opponent easily with fire techniques. Her second opponent, only a 38th level spirit elder, was no real challenge. Lin Yu watched Huo Wu's smooth victory and noticed Feng Xiao sketched across the Blazing Academy's preparation area, the idolized fan lost in thought. The one who got away back then, is he also living under someone else's roof now? Lin Yu thought. Feng Xiaotian had been suppressed by Lin Yu at the Royal Academy and later lost his family to Serpent Dragon and Qi Shui, yet he had survived. Lin Yu hadn't expected that. After everything, Feng Xiaoqian would still cling to the same self-fashioned spirit ability he had once cultivated in the original timeline. As he observed, Shui Binger drew near. Unlike the tall Qian Renxue, Shui Binger was about 1.65 meters, neither short nor especially tall. Her figure was well-proportioned, delicate in a way that naturally attracted attention. "Long time no see, Miss Binger. Why are you here instead of scouting?" Lin Yu called, surprised but pleased to see her. A nervous flush crossed her ice-blue eyes. She stopped a few meters away, cheeks pink. Aren't you with the royal fighting team too? I came to gather information on you as well." She forced herself to state her purpose plainly. Lin Yu took in her behavior and, finding the easy victory boring, decided to tease the cute girl a little. "Is that so? But didn't you forget I'm the only one watching the match here? My teammates aren't around. Besides, Miss Binger, how exactly were you planning to find out my information?" Shui Binger, all embarrassment, suppressed the urge to stammer. Young Master Lin, you can just call me Binger. And, young Master Lin, please stop teasing Binger. Binger will definitely repay your kindness from before." Lin Yu saw she couldn't take much teasing and relented. "All right, then I'll call you Binger, okay?" She hummed softly and drifted to his side, chatting in short bursts. The Heaven Water girls who had followed her weren't really scouting. They were watching the little scene unfold and whispering among themselves. "Hehe, I knew it. With sister's looks, hooking him won't be hard," dripped Shui Ye's teasing voice. Shui Wu, the one who could perform spirit fusion with Shui Binger, sighed dramatically. "What a pity. Our captain's already taken. Poor me, almost 25 and still unwanted." The laughter and gossip carried on, and for a while they forgot the task they'd been sent to do. On stage, Huo Wu had won 5 matches in a row before withdrawing to recover her spirit power. Another member of the Huo family took her place. The substitution didn't change the result. Fabia stood no chance against Blazing Academy. The outcome was decided well before the match ended. Near the close of the contest, Shui Binger finally worked up the courage to whisper, Young Master Lin, I would like to invite you to visit our camp. I wonder if..." "That sounds wonderful. I wonder if you could bring me too? I'd like to meet the outstanding students of Heaven Water Academy." A gentle voice floated up from behind them. Shui Qinghe had appeared without announcement, her smile soft as spring. Chapter 177. A Battleground? The Lost Shui Binger. Heaven Water Academy's Shui Binger greets your highness. the crown prince. When Shui Binger spoke to Lin Yu, she was relaxed and warm. Toward Shui Qinghe, the crown prince of the Heaven Do Empire, she was respectful but deliberately reserved. The crown prince noticed the difference and merely smiled at Lin Yu. Lin Yu had no real reply. Some things are instinctive in women and can't be explained away. Qian Renxue understood at once. As young lord of Spirit Hall, she had a broad mind and composure. She knew Lin Yu's strengths naturally attracted attention. She felt a flicker of jealousy, but she wouldn't behave irrationally. Still, Shui Binger's manner toward Lin Yu did strike her as slightly odd. Qian Renshue's opinion of Shui Binger was favorable. There was nothing to fault in her character. In looks, however, Qian Renxue was supremely confident. If Shui Binger had designs on Lin Yu, so what? Qian Renxue believed her own elegance and experience outmatched the younger girl. The match between Blazing Academy and Fabia Academy ended while they talked. Shui Binger took that moment to slip away, offering a subtle excuse to Lin Yu and Qian Renxue. Watching her go, Qian Renxue, who had been keeping up the appearance of Shui Qinghe earlier, patted Lin Yu's shoulder and said softly, "Xiao Yu, didn't you notice that girl's attitude? It feels almost like how she behaves with me." Lin Yu gave a non-committal nod. Denial would do no good. "What do you want to do about it?" Qian Renxue, still in the guise of Shui Qing, rolled her eyes at him. "Don't worry, I'm not a jealous woman. If that little girl likes you, let her like you. If she can take you from me, then she deserves praise." She wouldn't go hysterical or resort to underhanded tactics. Qian Renxue had pride. If she couldn't win her man with dignity, how could she one day govern Spirit Hall? Still, she wasn't entirely indifferent. She had planned to visit Heaven Water Academy's camp after spending the day watching matches with Lin Yu. He was surprised to see she had changed into a golden dress. As if deliberately displaying herself, Qian Renxue linked her arm through his, her hair arranged in an elegant married woman's coiffure, and rested her face against his chest. Lin Yu wrapped an arm around her and gave a wry smile. "Shuer, do you have to be like this?" "Of course," she whispered back. "As you say, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." When it came to matters of the heart, Qian Renxue was strategic. She would not sulk or scheme. She would simply demonstrate why she was the woman meant to stand beside Lin Yu. They soon reached Heaven Water Academy's camp. Shui Binger, dressed in a lake blue knee-length skirt embroidered with phoenix patterns, had frowned at the approach of visitors. Heaven Water Academy drew many admirers. Playboys had lingered outside its gates in Tianshui City, and the attention only intensified in Heaven Do City. Not long ago, she had even encountered a royal nephew who demanded she attend to him. Though gentle, Shui Binger was not someone to be taken advantage of. An academy like hers survived because it could hold its own. Her frown lasted only a moment. When she realized Lin Yu had come, her expression softened and she quickly freshened her appearance. As she stepped out of the barracks, her eyes met Qian Renshue's. The two women's gazes locked, and the girls of Heaven Water Academy gathered to watch, breathless. Not all were merely spectators. Shui Yuer, Shui Binger's biological sister, and Xiao Wu, bonded to Shui Binger by a spirit fusion skill, both looked on with worry. In looks alone, their visitor was dazzling. Qian Renxue, linking her arm through Lin Yu's as she leaned against him, offered a magnanimous smile. "You must be Sister Binger. What a rare beauty." She stepped forward, and before Shui Binger could fully react, took her hand. Shui Binger, surprised and a little flustered, forced a polite reply. Hello, sister. I'm Shui Binger. May I ask your name?" The sudden display of intimacy between Lin Yu and Qian Renxue made Shui Binger's heart twist with guilt. Still, she clung to a shred of hope and asked anyway. Qian Renshue's golden eyes shimmered as she smiled broadly. "I'm older than you. Just call me Sister Shuer. As for my relationship with Xiao Yu, we're already courting. We're not married yet, but I have given myself to him. I expect that soon he will be my husband." Qian Renxue spared no subtlety. She said what would most deeply unsettle her rival. Shui Binger's guilt grew. She had noticed the married woman hair ornament earlier, and now realized the truth. What remained of her question had been nothing but stubbornness. Protected by doting parents, kind-hearted but naive, she could not match the composed, mature Qian Renxue. Hearing that Lin Yu and Qian Renxue were essentially a married pair, Shuibinger forced her feelings back into hiding. A faint, practiced smile floated in her ice-blue eyes. Binger welcomes young Master Lin and Sister Shuer. Please, let me show you around. She walked ahead, the prairie wind fluttering the hem of her lake-blue skirt. In that soft whisper of fabric, her slender figure looked fragile, so delicate that even the wind seemed to murmur her quiet loss. Chapter 178, Icy and Burning Pursuit. Feng Xiaotian's 7 strike under Shui Binger's lead. Qian Renxue and Lin Yu were introduced to the students and teachers of Heaven Water Academy. After some conversation, the evening grew late, and Lin Yu and Qian Renxue left the camp, warmly seen off by the academy's people. Shui Binger and her sister Shui Yuer were nowhere to be seen outside, nor was Xiao Wu, who had once performed spirit fusion with Shui Binger. Inside a barrack, Shui Binger sat in the corner of the bed, dazed, knees drawn up, arms wrapped around them, her small head resting on her knees. She had never expected that the person she liked already had someone, and that someone was so beautiful and outstanding. That exquisite, otherworldly face made her feel ashamed of herself. A small head peeked mischievously through the doorway. Shu Yuer slipped in, and seeing her sister, sprang into Shui Binger's arms. She rubbed against her wildly and began to knead her playfully. "What a pity," she teased. "I thought you could find me a brother-in-law first, but you were a step late." The kneading made Shui Binger's cheeks flush. She swatted at Shui Yuer's jade hand, glittering ice-blue eyes narrowing. "Yuer, if you don't stop, I'll really teach you a lesson." Shui Yuer smoothed into an act of contrition at once, hugging Shui Binger's arm and pouting. "Big sister, forgive Yuer this once, okay?" Shui Binger was used to her little sister. She stroked where Yuer had been mischievous and said with mock sternness, "You've said that 1,000 times. Do you think I forgive you so easily?" "Well, maybe you shouldn't forgive every little thing," Shui Yuer said, then glanced toward the doorway where Shui Wu stood, watching. "But there's something I wasn't sure I should say." Shui Binger looked up. "It's just us here. Say it." Shui Wu stepped forward. "You know how things are on Douluo Continent. The strong are honored. What might be judged harshly among ordinary people becomes a romantic tale when someone is powerful enough." Shui Binger's delicate face showed that she understood at once. She thought of their family and of Shui Wu's words. Certain things, once they reach a certain level, no longer draw blame but become legend. Her blue eyes brightened, color returning to her cheeks. She threw her arms around Shui Wu and rubbed against her in gratitude. "Thank you." Buoyed by renewed confidence, Shui Binger slipped into her small heels and hurried out of the camp, Shui Yuer at her heels. Shui Wu watched them go with a somewhat blank expression and muttered, "Was I just used by Binger?" No one could have predicted how quickly Shui Binger's mood changed. Qian Renxue, who had been beside Lin Yu, was surprised by the transformation. The night passed uneventfully, and the next day's competition continued. Heaven Water Academy had no bye. Its opponent was an academy from one of the Heaven Do Empire's vassal kingdoms, and the result was unsurprising. Led by Shui Binger, Heaven Water Academy dispatched their opponent swiftly. After the match, Shui Binger returned to Lin Yu's side, composed and dignified, a stark contrast to the distraught girl from the night before. Qian Renxue, who had been proud of her own easy victory the previous day, began to watch Shui Binger more closely. She hadn't paid much attention to her before, but now Shui Binger clearly looked like a rival. A meaningful gleam flashed in Qian Renxue's eyes as she studied the girl beside Lin Yu. Lin Yu noticed the exchange too and stole a glance at Shui Binger. She might not match Qian Renxue in looks, but she was undeniably exceptional. In an earlier life, he might have wished both girls were fond of him. Now, however, having already pledged himself to Qian Renxue, he could not accept Shui Binger's pursuit. Her spirit was icy, but the love burning in her chest felt like a scorching fire, something that repelled and tormented at once. The two sat in silence. Shui Binger said nothing, content to remain quietly at Lin Yu's side and watch the matches with a thoughtful expression. The final match of the round was between Blazing Academy and the Sylves Royal Academy, a vassal school under the Heaven Do Empire. Unexpectedly, the one to step onto the stage for Blazing Academy was Feng Xiaotian, the captain of Divine Wind Academy, who had supposedly already been eliminated. His appearance caused an uproar. The Sylves Royal Academy accused Blazing Academy of cheating when someone from another academy took the field. Just when the Sylves contingent thought the match would be awarded to them, the tournament committee issued a prompt ruling. While Blazing Academy's tactics were unsporting, they did not break the rules, so the match would proceed. Feng Xiaoqian, who had once been defeated by Tang San's Clear Sky Hammer, did not sink into despair. He had broken through to spirit level 45, and his self-developed techniques had improved dramatically. Stronger than before, he stood alone on the arena and defeated one opponent after another with his own might, securing the first 7-win streak since the promotion rounds began and displaying his power to the nobles and commoners of the Heaven Du Empire. Feng Xiaoqian's performance didn't escape the notice of Shui Binger, who sat beside Lin Yu. She frowned for a moment. I didn't expect that even after the Feng family's destruction, Feng Xiaoqian would still be so strong. Does he really deserve to be called innate full? Although relations among the 5 elemental academies were strained at times, they still watched one another closely. Feng Xiaoqian had once been the greatest genius of the Feng family in centuries, and his full innate spirit power had put considerable pressure on the other academies, including Heaven Water. When Shui Binger was young and hadn't yet awakened her spirit, the prosperous Feng family had been annihilated and Feng Xiaoqian had disappeared. At least, that was how it had seemed to her. At nearly 25, being a spirit master at rank 45 could look like genius to ordinary people. But for someone who was supposed to surpass her and who supposedly possessed full innate spirit power, he didn't strike her as especially outstanding. Over almost 18 years of cultivation, 4 ranks of which had come from automatic breakthroughs, Feng Xiaoqian had increased his spirit ranks by 31 in total. Gaining 31 ranks in 18 years wasn't particularly hard for a spirit master with innate spirit power above rank 7. His cultivation speed simply didn't match what one would expect of someone with full innate power. Yet his combat strength, roughly that of an early or mid-rank spirit king, left Shui Binger with the impression that he truly was a genius. Still, Shui Binger remained wary. Her own spirit abilities were all control type and lacked brute destructive power, so someone like Feng Xiaoqian could be dangerous. Lin Yu noticed the guarded look on her face and chuckled softly. Don't be so tense. In your eyes, Feng Xiaoqian looks so strong because of his 3rd spirit ability, Gale Wings. His so-called self-made spirit skill, a wind blade stacking technique similar to the Clear Sky Sects disorder-splitting wind hammer, is really just an extension of that 3rd ability. It looks formidable, but it isn't anything special. It won't trouble you much. Your 1st spirit ability, despite being a bit weaker in raw power, is perfectly suited to counter his 3rd ability. He was right. Feng Xiaoqian's Storm Devil Wolf consecutive slash was nothing more than another manifestation of the wind blades produced by Gale Wings. The inherent rank of a spirit ability was fixed. Gale Wings was only a 1,000-year level skill. Even if he tried to stack it to the same number of strikes as the Clear Sky Sect's 81-hit method, its power would still be limited. Reaching St. Grad would already be generous. Pushing that stacking was ultimately pointless, better to improve one's spirit power. Shui Binger's 1st ability, on the other hand, was a devastatingly effective control move. Its instantaneous ice sealing responded to thought and was almost impossible to evade. Opponents had to face it head-on. It wasn't strong in raw damage, but it interfered terribly with enemy techniques. Shui Binger was perceptive and quick to understand. She smiled and thanked Lin Yu. Thank you, young Master Lin. It's a little tricky, but if I keep my guard, I can handle him. It's late, Binger will take her leave. Freed from restraint, she blinked her icy blue eyes a few times with a hint of playfulness and slipped away. Lin Yu couldn't help the wry smile. From her manner and the way she approached him, it was obvious she was a woman with an intention. Girls like Shui Binger and Qian Renxue were both exceptional. One's affection would have been more than enough, but having both left him pleasantly bewildered. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, several days had gone by, and more than half the promotion tournament was over. During that period, Heaven Water Academy had faced Blazing Academy. Feng Xiaoqian, sent out as the finale, fared poorly against Shui Binger, who already knew the weak points of his self-made spirit skill. Under the restraints of Shui Binger's ice ceiling, his third ability was repeatedly stalled, and he never found the chance to unleash his self-made technique. Frustrated and drained, Feng Xiaotian eventually forfeited for lack of spirit power. Huo Wu, Blazing Academy's trump and a control-type spirit master of slightly weaker power, also fell before Shui Binger. Having defeated two geniuses of the same rank alone, Shui Binger's reputation soared. Many began to praise her as a potential titled Douluo. As always, she paid little mind to flattery, preferring to ignore it and concentrate on cultivation. She also began to appear at Lin Yu's side more often, but attention didn't stay on her for long. During Shrek Academy's match with Thunder Academy, a handsome young man with dark blue hair and a slightly feminine bearing strode out and, with the strength of a spirit king, felled Thunder Academy's captain Yu Tianxin with a single blue-silver overlord spear. He became the second person after Feng Xiaotian to win 7 consecutive matches in the promotion tournament. Watching the poised, blue-haired youth from the stands, Lin Yu sneered to Shui Binger beside him. "Your spirit has evolved into the blue-silver emperor, and that yearning, heartbroken red. Is this your confidence, Tang San?" Earlier, back at the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang well, Lin Yu had allowed the yearning, heartbroken red to slip away, but he had recorded its aura. That spirit's ability to ignore ranks and raise spirit power by 10 ranks was precisely why Tang San had been able to break through to Spirit King and evolve his spirit so quickly. Tang San had only just broken through, and the yearning, heartbroken red's aura still lingered, something Lin Yu, who carried the wood spirit scroll and was especially sensitive to the auras of heaven and earth treasures, picked up at once. Unlike Feng Xiaotian, Tang San had dominated his 7 matches with overwhelming advantage, and he felt both proud and arrogant. Feeling the power of the blue-silver emperor, Tang San inwardly praised, "It truly lives up to its name, far more powerful than the blue-silver grass I had before." He also noted that the yearning, heartbroken red had fallen off the Wujie stone by itself. Lucky for him. Thinking of his present strength, Tang San's old childhood resentment toward Tang Hao for not raising him had long since vanished, replaced now by gratitude. Chapter 180, Shrek Academy's Boundless Glory, Shui Binger's Request. With Tang San's premature awakening of the blue-silver emperor spirit and his advance to Spirit King using the yearning, heartbroken red, Shrek Academy's prestige soared overnight. Even Ningfengji, who had once tried to pull Tang San completely into the 7-treasure glazed tile school, stopped talking about an engagement between Tang San and Ning Rongrong as soon as he heard that Tang Hao was still alive. He turned all his attention to currying favor with Tang San. Without any backing, Tang San might have been easy to sway, but with the protection of someone like Tang Hao, who had once struck the Supreme Pontiff, Ningfengji dared not act rashly. Besides, offending Tang Hao over a single student would have been foolish. Ningfengji's behavior, however, exposed him to Tang San, a merchant who put profit above all else, unscrupulous and ready to swallow someone whole if it suited him. On the final day of the promotion rounds, in the 3rd match, Heaven Water Academy faced Shrek Academy. Tang San didn't go on first. He wanted the others to have their moments. From Heaven Water Academy's side, the first to step up was their captain, Shui Binger. Her opponent was Ma Hongjun, one of Shrek's remaining 4. Ma Hongjun, a greasy-looking fellow with a thin mustache at the corners of his mouth, started to pant when he saw Shui Binger. He reverted to his old habit of crude teasing. "Heh, hello there, little beauty. I'm Ma Hongjun, and my spirit is the same as yours, the Phoenix. Same origin and all. Why don't you come a little closer to your big brother?" The teasing flashed a cold light in Shui Binger's eyes. Frost crept over her delicate face as she lifted her pale jade hand and snapped, "Pervert, if you can't speak properly, I'll teach you a lesson." Enraged, Shui Binger unleashed her 1st and 2nd spirit abilities. A chill, accompanied by a clear, pleasant phoenix cry, swept across the arena. Ma Hongjun, caught off guard, was nearly blown off the stage by the snow and ice. Flender, who cared greatly about his pride, watched Ma Hongjun's humiliation and insisted he must be taught a lesson. Yu Xiaogong, sitting beside him, shook his head. "There's no need," he said. "The arena is a battlefield. Mahongjan's flirting might just be his way to provoke the opponent. Flender was surprised, but as Mahongjan's master, he said no more. After several breaths, Mahongjan, clearly outclassed and his spirit suppressed, was unceremoniously knocked off the stage by Shui Binger. One by one, Jingling, Huang Yuan, and Juju King were driven off as well. Shui Binger only tangled a little with Yu Tianheng before stepping down, saying her spirit power was exhausted. Off the stage, she gave her teammates a few quick instructions and then sat down beside Lin Yu, puffing out her pale cheeks. Her arrival was not a surprise to Lin Yu. "What's wrong? Did someone provoke you? Tell me," he asked. Shui Binger watched the match with disappointment in her icy blue eyes and sighed softly. "Nothing. I'm just a little disappointed. When will Heaven Water Academy ever win a championship?" Her words were half honest, half resigned. She truly yearned for the Spirit Master Tournament crown, but she also mocked herself. What right did a spirit ancestor have to covet a trophy prepared by Spirit Hall for the next generation? Those 3 spirit bones were meant for Spirit Hall's chosen, not for outsiders without powerful backing. Lin Yu absent-mindedly ruffled the blue hair atop her head. "It's okay," he said casually. "Those 3 spirit bones were prepared for the so-called golden generation. They never planned for outsiders to win." Shui Binger's face heated at the touch. She slapped his hand away and scolded, "Don't! I won't grow any taller because of that." Lin Yu felt awkward. His gesture had been more intimate than he'd intended, and apologized several times. After the little misunderstanding passed, they sat quietly together while Tang San once again stole the spotlight, turning the tide and defeating Heaven Water's fighters one by one. When the last member, Yu Hairo, the strongest after Shui Binger, finally fell, Shui Binger's icy gaze brightened. "As expected of a spirit king," she murmured, "we still lost. If they did a team battle, I don't think we'd match Shrek either." Lin Yu tried to console her with a joke. "Participation matters. You're only 16 now. In 5 years, you'll be 21. By then, Spirit Hall might have no equal on the continent. Maybe you'll take the championship then." A resolute look passed through Shui Binger's eyes. "If I said I don't want to wait 5 years, would you help me? You're one of their people, aren't you?" Many suspected Lin Yu's ties to Spirit Hall. Shui Binger, perceptive as she was, could deduce that his backing was that overlord-level force. Lin Yu didn't agree immediately. Instead, he warned, "What do you want to do? It's best if you don't get involved in this kind of mess." He didn't want Heaven Water Academy dragged into a conflict with Spirit Hall. If the woman in the Supreme Pontiff's palace overreacted and made a mistake, the consequences could be irreversible, and he and Shui Binger might lose any chance of being friends. Shui Binger's persistence surprised him. "Just this once," she said. "I know your royal fighting team is short 2 people. Xiao Wu and I will join your team. We won't hold you back." With that, she turned and left, leaving Lin Yu alone and conflicted. He had underestimated how determined she was. Her request wasn't really about the trophy or the spirit bones. She wanted to stand at his side and mark herself with his sign. Lin Yu couldn't accept such earnest devotion lightly. What of Qian Renxue, who had already given him her whole heart? Lost in thought, Lin Yu unconsciously walked out of the arena and nearly collided with someone coming the other way.